If only they knew. The hub for young business minds.
Yes, people, it's Ted Lawler from If Only They Knew, the hub for young business minds. And today I thought I'd do a Q&A as I've had so many people over the past few years since I've had this page asking so many different questions, and I've never really addressed them all publicly. So yeah, I thought, why not sit down and answer some of those questions? Now, straight off the bat, the first one is, and this is one I get quite a bit, what does If Only They Knew mean? Now, for me, you have to picture the scene. About 3 years ago, pretty much 3 years on the dot today, I was sitting around as a struggling uni student with no real idea of where I was going, but this real idea that I was good at marketing and I had this sort of skill, more than just marketing. I had some sort of skill that I just knew would be of value to the world in that sense. And yeah, it's just a case of people not understanding that and not seeing that. You know, when you just feel a bit underappreciated, and I think that's sort of my view. Like that's how I sort of felt in society. I know that's quite deep, but yeah, that's pretty much how I felt. So I was sitting there one day, and bear in mind, I've got no portfolio of work. I've got nothing to sort of prove that I'm good at what I do. I always had this idea of creating some sort of platform to share my stories, share my opinions and stuff like that, which obviously became what it is today. But yeah, sitting there, these two thoughts come together, and I thought, you know, why don't I create a page where I can share my opinions and share other people's stories at the same time and sort of intertwine them. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, definitely a good idea. I need a name. And like a couple of days went by where I couldn't think of anything, and this phrase come into my mind: if only they knew. Like I was just sitting there thinking, if only they knew my potential. And that it just stuck. Like, and I think when I say they, a lot of people ask me to clarify. They is just like the outside world, like especially the older generation. I sort of look at it as the younger generation versus them in a sense. Like a lot of those guys look down on us and they think we can't do certain things, and they're like know-it-alls and stuff like that. So yeah, that was sort of my mindset at the time, and yeah, that's where it come from. You know, just get out there, show the world, show them, whoever they are, show them your potential and what you're made of. So yeah, that's what it means basically. Now the second question is, only very recently I've got this, as I've started putting out little teasers on my Instagram stories and stuff like that. And it's, what is this product you keep talking about? And they've made sure to put keep talking about there, because I go on about it quite a lot. But yeah, essentially, I've always wanted a product. I like the idea of setting up the group, but I always knew that I needed a product to really, you know, just get to that next level. I felt like I was missing something, and the product is what I believe it was, you know. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this year, it's almost September now. By the end of this year, hopefully by December or something, I aim to have my product. And I can't say what it is, but yeah, it looks to be very informative, but also very useful and valuable at the same time. So yeah, look out for that one. And it's the first time I've actually reached out to work with another person. For those that have been following the page for a while, you've seen that my page is literally been me. I haven't really had any help in terms of strategy and what to do. Obviously, I've done a few collaborations with people for blogs and podcasts and stuff like that, but it's pretty much been all me. So yeah, this is the first time I'm working alongside somebody. So yeah, excited to see where it goes. And as of yet, we've sort of got the idea and the template of what we want the product to be, and look like rather. But yeah, we haven't got a name or anything yet. So branding is sort of put on hold for now until we get the product probably in our hands, and then we can sort of work on everything else. But yeah, look out for that. I'm excited for that one. Now, the next question is someone saying, I'm constantly anxious. What can I do? Now, for me, I used to get anxious quite a lot, like just in stupid situations. It's normally when I'm going somewhere new or experiencing something new or around people that I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I think it's sort of, you can deal with it differently depending on who you are, and some people require different things and stuff like that. But for me, it's just a case of sort of realizing what can go wrong, you know, and just sort of bringing that negativity outside of my mind and just letting it go, like literally just pushing it away. accepting that the probability of something going wrong is so low, and then just pushing that whole thought out of your mind anyway. That's what I started doing, and focus more on the positive side of things. Like if I'm going to a new place, rather than thinking, oh my God, what if I get lost, or if I don't know the way, think, oh my God, what new places will I see? What new shops will I see? What new food places? What new people will I meet, etc., etc., and just sort of focus on the positives. So it just cheers you up a bit. So when you go into a new situation, you're buzzing, like you're looking for the next thing, and that will sort of keep you going, rather than dwelling on the things that could go wrong, because 9 times out of 10, even more than that, like 9.9 times out of 10, nothing really goes wrong that will upset you that much. So yeah, focus on the positives. I know it sounds simple, but for me it really was that simple. Just focus on positives, and yeah, let the negatives just sort of fly by. Accept that you think them, and then just sort of pat them on the head and tell them go away, like a little kid. So yeah, that's sort of how I deal with it. But more practically, I guess, because I know some people be like, oh, that's a stupid answer, it's too generic, whatever. So yeah, more practically, write down your thoughts, keep track of how you feel, be open about how you feel as well. I think that's a major thing that I learned when I was sort of trying to hide the way I felt and put on this front. I sort of got myself tangled up, because one side of me is really thinking massively about the anxiety that I'm facing and all the negative things, and the other side, the external side of me, is trying to like put on this front, and you just get caught up in that web, I feel. So yeah, be open, be honest with other people about how you feel, but also yourself. Keep track of it all, and most importantly, just focus on the positives when you're in those situations. And yeah, like I said, 9.9 times out of 10, nothing's going to go wrong, and even if something does go wrong, it's not going to be anything drastic, So yeah, focus on the positives. That's my advice. Now, this one I really like. I've never been asked this before or anything similar. And it's, who are you when no one is watching? And I don't know, I've just had a thought about it. And I don't know, I want to say I'm the same. Like I've made a real conscious effort on my podcast, because that's where um, most people sort of get a feel for who I am, like in terms of talking and my personality and stuff like that. Obviously with the page, it doesn't really come across, because it's only like the captions or a short video I do. So yeah, I try my best to proactively just be myself. And if I ever feel like I'm forcing it, because don't get me wrong, it does happen. Some days I start talking and I think, hold on, this isn't me. Like, this sounds like somebody else. This sounds like a Tony Robbins or a Gary Vee, or you know what I mean? So it's like, I just be who I am, not try and jazz it up for the video, because what's the point? I'd rather lose people, like lose a portion of my audience who don't like me for who I am, than lose a portion of my audience for those that are seeing how fake I am being, if that makes sense. I'd rather just be open and honest, and those that stick with me, rather than being fake and then just having a load of like a fake community. I'd rather just be open and honest from the get-go. So yeah, hopefully you guys like me anyway. I don't really know. I've only spoken to like a handful in comparison to the network that I've built. I've only really spoken to a handful of you like in depth. So yeah, not in a weird way, but if you want to reach out, chat, feel free. I'm always at hand to sort of open up and do things like this, like even to a smaller extent, just answer some questions and get a dialogue going. So yeah, who am I when no one is watching? Just the same as when people are watching, just sometimes I do get a bit like too much in my own world, and I get a little bit down because I'm just sort of constantly focused on the future. And if I'm not proactively working to get to the future, I do get a bit like sluggish and I feel like I'm failing, So yeah, I think that's the only difference really. Sometimes just a little bit more mellowed out, sometimes a bit down, but yeah, always bounce back. And I promise you, who you see on the camera like now is who I am in real life. So yeah, that's that. Now this one can be a bit sensitive, especially my views on it all, but what are your thoughts on COVID and the lockdown? Now, for me, I'm a bit like David Icke in this sense, and I know a lot of people would probably be shutting this video down as soon as they hear that, but I don't know, like, personally, I don't sort of buy into it. Yeah, I'm one of those, like, not a conspiracy theorist, but yeah, I guess I am really, am I? But I don't know. I just don't really believe in it. I don't really buy in it. I still wear my mask. I still comply with everything. Just do what you can to get by with as little stress as possible, really. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really think much of it. Again, it's just why would you focus on the negatives if when you really think about it, how has it impacted your life in any way, shape, or form? Obviously, some people have illnesses and stuff, and that again, that's why it's a touchy subject. But for the most part, is it really affecting your life? All you've got to do is wear a mask when you go like shopping or something. I don't know. For me, it's not that much of a deal because I've been through worse situations. You know, like when can't you can't act out your free will. So you can still do what you please. You just have to wear a mask and do these little things. It's like being in school, really. I don't know, maybe I'm used to it from that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole COVID situation. But the lockdown itself, I feel like could be completely separate. For me, the lockdown's been great. I have to admit, starting up my podcast at the start of lockdown. I think it was just before lockdown. But the lockdown really helped me to pick up the speed and now some guests that I would never have been able to nail down, especially at the early stages when people I think were sort of panicking and those that would normally be sitting on a high horse sort of stepped down off that horse for a bit and realized that they need to be a bit more proactive because their lifeline is sort of at risk there in terms of the business and stuff like that. So yeah, lockdown's been great for me. I have to admit, it's given me time, especially when I was working from home. When I had my 9 to 5 before, I no longer have a 9 to 5 for those wondering as well. I do this full time. So yeah, when I had my 9 to 5 before during the lockdown, I was working at home and yeah, I loved it. It gave me an opportunity. I started getting into running, started doing more weights, and just it made me realize the life that I want is possible. And it made me realize that getting on a tube at 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock and spending 9 hours working for someone else just isn't really for me. So yeah, it was a good paradigm shift that sort of has really pushed me in the right direction, you know. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And yeah, hopefully it will end soon because I know a lot of people are struggling. But yeah, again, just focus on the positives. We can only do what we can do, you know. So yeah, that's that. Now the next question: what keeps you motivated? Now for me, this sort of double-sided. One part that keeps me motivated is just simply not wanting to go back to where I was. So I spoke about it in a few podcasts, I think every now and then, but perhaps not in depth. But essentially, I've had some crazy points in my life where everything seemed dreadful and just rubbish. One of them being when I went down to like -5 pounds in my bank account. And for me, that was just such an uncomfortable position because I was missing food, lunches, dinners, not going out, and just sort of being a recluse because I couldn't afford to go out and do certain things, you know. And I've never been one to ask for help, never asked my mum really or my dad or anyone in my family for money. I've always, if I haven't had money, I've had to go out and get it in some form. So yeah, for me that was the lowest I've probably ever been. And yeah, that motivates me because it makes me realize I never want to go back there again. And I think once you dive deep into that, like hell, into the abyss, you realize you never want to go back there again. So you do anything you can to sort of stay above the water, stay above the ground, and keep going up, you know. So yeah, that's one side of it. But then the other side is the fact that I've seen so many people living the life that I want to live, and they made the transition seem quite simple. I know it's hard work and it takes time, and everyone's story is different, but I've sort of seen it happen, and for me, that's all I need. You know, I've even if I didn't see it happen, I'll still be grinding. But I've seen people in the exact position that I want to be in, and I've seen them continue to grow. So for me, it's like, you know what, it's possible. So I wouldn't want to live a normal life where I'm not reaching for those heights, and I don't know, normality and living a normal standard life just isn't for me. You know, I want to get the best that I can whilst I'm here. You know, we're not here for a long time, so yeah, get out there, get the best that you can. So yeah, they're the two things that motivate me to keep going. And the final question for today has been a bit of a mixed match of questions. I know I'll do a part two. I think if you want me to, leave a like below and leave a comment as well, letting me know what questions you want me to answer in part two. But yeah, the final question: do you really believe in the law of attraction? And they've capitalized really. So do you really believe in the law of attraction? Yes, I do. I think I think I do anyway. I keep sort of going back and forth, but I think the idea of the law of attraction is that you fully buy into it. That's sort of one of the rules of it. Um, but yeah, again, focus on the positive things rather than negative. I'd rather sort of believe in something than not believe in anything. So yeah, I do believe in the law of attraction. I've seen certain things work for me, um, but for me, I think I'd sort of take it on a slight turn. And for me, I believe more in karma than I do the law of attraction, if that makes sense. I feel like if you do good things, you get rewarded with good things. But yeah, because as of yet, I've only ever been rewarded for what I've done, if that makes sense. So, like one time a few months ago, a homeless woman come up to me randomly out of a massive sort of group of people in the city, all walking down. You can imagine all in suits and that, like heads down, phone, like looking at their phones and stuff like that. And I was doing the same, and I had my AirPods in and everything, so I was sort of looking unapproachable. And as I looked up, this young lady come up to me, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry to bother you, but like, do you have any change?" And I didn't have change, but I didn't want to par her off. I don't know, something that in that moment she just sort of really grabbed my attention, and I was like, you know what? I can't say I haven't got change and then just walk off and like let her fend for herself. So I was like, you know what? I don't have change. And her face was just like, oh, like you're powering me off. And I was like, no, I don't have change, but there's a Sainsbury's around the corner. Let's go to the Sainsbury's and pick up what you want, whatever, and I'll get it for you. And she didn't believe me at first. But yeah, sort of walked her down and did that. And yeah, it felt like a good thing to do. It just felt like something I wanted to do as well. But yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken about that. But yeah, a few things like that have happened. And the week, literally 1 week after that happened with the lady, I found £20 on the floor. Like literally, as I was walking the dogs, I saw it come flying along the street floor. I legged it towards it and I picked it up. I was like, oh my god, this is it. I believe in karma. So yeah, I definitely believe in karma. But the law of attraction, the things that I've got on my vision board I'm looking at now, haven't come into fruition just yet. There's been a few little things like the podcast and stuff like that, but you know, I keep my standards high. So I'm aiming for big things, and they haven't come into my life just yet. But yeah, I definitely do believe, and without a doubt, I'll get to where I want to go. I'll have a number one podcast. I'll have the house. I'll have the car. I'll have everything I ever wanted. So yeah, I believe. So hopefully you guys believe too. Get yourself something to sort of focus on and strive for. But yeah, law of attraction. Yeah, why not? So there we have it, guys. That was a quick Q&A. Covered loads of different things. But yeah, like I said, leave a like if you want me to do more, and message me or comment below or whatever. Just reach out to me and give me some questions to answer in the next one. So yeah, keep working hard, everyone. I can see all the people that I interact with, they're just smashing it. So keep going. It will pay off 100%, especially after this lockdowns finishes. You know, if you've achieved great things during a lockdown, you're going to achieve even more things when it's all over, you know. So yeah, keep going. And yeah, it's been Ted Lawler from If Only They Knew, the hub for young business minds. Thanks.
If only they knew, the hub for young business minds.